Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
Oh, the original, what was it?
Hmm?
What did you say?
I said, how you doing?
I'm okay.
Yeah?
Hmm. Just trying to keep an eye out. What's up? What do you want to talk about?
I would like to talk about Ivy.
Okay. What about?
Is there any ongoing issues between you and her?
I mean, I suppose you could call it an ongoing issue.
Okay. What is it? Or what's happened?
Uh, well, I mean, I'm sure people. If you're coming to talk to me, someone has said something. So her
I'm
attitude
no,
is
no,
a
no.
big part of it.
I'm just curious. Her attitude?
Okay. Her attitude, just you know, I understand that when people get stressed, they can get a bit snappy, but I don't really take too kindly to when I'm getting snapped at for no reason regularly a lot. It starts to, eventually you want to snap back. I never do, but god do I want to sometimes. um but I think my biggest issue. Oh, Lindsay, someone's running down the middle of the block. Oh, okay, okay. um
Yeah.
Someone's going up the ladder. Oh, it's probably where I'm guessing.
You're good. Uh, in a bit, I just need to talk to Nana.
Um, but so, I usually just take it on the chin, even though it doesn't sit well with me when it happens. I
Mm-hmm.
am a very, I always try to pride myself on the fact that I can be a very, very understanding person. And I do
Mm-hmm.
get that, I've known her long enough to see she does get very snappy when she's under a lot of stress. Okay, good
Mm-hmm.
night, Benny. Have a good New Year's. Um, so I do take that into consideration. Does not mean that I like it and doesn't mean that it starts to wear on me over time. But I always, I just take it with a grain of salt. I remind
Mm-hmm.
myself she's probably stressed. It's fine. Well, I mean, it's not fine, but I don't need to make a big deal out of it because I understand the reasoning behind it. Even if I don't think that's good enough reason, I get
Mm-hmm.
it. But so it is what it is, whatever. Um, when you were in the ICU,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I witnessed her snap on Alice. Um, I understand. Y- Yola? Oh, okay. Bye. See you tomorrow. Um, like I understand. No, mind you, I know that Alice is no longer a hangaround. I understand
Mm-hmm.
she was a hangaround. I understand that a hangaround should not be telling a patch what to do. But
Mm-hmm.
I am also the type of person that I pay attention to context and the tone of which people talk to people on.
Mm-hmm.
Because before coming into this club, I was friends with Benny. I was friends with Finn. I was friends with Kelly. I was friends with Edbert. These were people that I knew prior to being in the club. So I had a relationship with them. And so, mind you, I did learn very quickly that other people did not like me being as friendly with them as I was because they thought it looked bad because I was a hang around and they were patches. So I did try to be mindful of it. But I also do think that I should still be able to have my friendships. As long as I
Mm-hmm.
do know when, when is and is not appropriate and I'm still treating with the respect. I don't think that I have to completely halt my whole friendships with them. That's at least how I feel. And so like me and Benny, even when I was a hanger on our prospect, I still kind of roughhoused with him sometimes and that because that's just the way we were. I did try and, be mindful of how I did it because some people didn't like exactly how I did it. So I was trying to be wary of how other people felt about it. But so but I take into consideration people have friendships aside from things. So Tally was talking something um about Edgar or whatever, and Alice was like, "I told you not to talk to him," or something like that, right? But to me, tone of voice, it didn't sound like she was bossing her around or being rude. To me, it felt like there was something more to it, and that they probably had a conversation where Alice said something to her. And because Tally did not tell her, get mad at her for saying it, I didn't think there was anything wrong with
Yeah, I can
how
understand that.
she said it.
Yeah.
But Ivy didn't like it. She snapped on her. Room instantly went silent. Alice left shortly after. So, she, so there was that. And I'm just telling you this to give you context to leading up to the bigger issue. So that happened, right? Um, and then, again, I don't know if it was the same day or day after. It was within the day of this happening. There was also an incident with Flop. Dean had had a concussion. He was unwell. We had to go do an ammo crate. So because Flop wasn't coming with us and Dean was not going because of the condition he was in, I tasked Flop and told him, you take care of him. You take care of him and make sure nothing happens to him. I gave him that order to do that. So he took care of him. We all got back to the block shortly after, and then we noticed Dean had some blood on his face. There's like some blood running down his face or whatever. We were trying to get him to come over to us so that we could get a look at him, and Dean being concussed and kind of out. It was like, no, like just he was being very not cooperative, but he was concussed. I get it. So I wasn't upset with him being not cooperating with us. But so Flop said to Dean, he was like, Dean, stop moving, come here. Because he was trying to help, because it wasn't working when I was telling Dean to come here. So Flop tried. So I feel like Flop's tone was stern because he was trying to, get Dean to hear him, because he clearly wasn't hearing us. I personally didn't feel like Flop stepped out of line because of the fact that I told him to help me take care of him.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel like he stepped out of line, but Ivy, got mad at him and said, don't talk to a patch that way. And that. So I didn't backtalk Ivy. I didn't talk her down in front of Flop or anything. I simply just said, Ivy, I told him to, take care of him. And she's like, okay, yeah, but we're here now, so he doesn't need to. So I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's fair. But I was just letting her know that I had, told them to
Right.
take care of him for me. But so I didn't feel like he was being barky. I didn't feel he was barking at Dean. There was a stern tone to his voice, but given the circumstances and the condition Dean was in, I didn't think that Flop was overstepping any lines. But so I guess Ivy did, hence why she spoke to him or said that
She
to him.
also didn't have the context, right?
Again, yes, exactly. Again, she didn't have any context to it. Exactly what I think happened with the Alice thing. I don't think she had the context to it. So after that, you got out of the ICU. I'm guessing that you ripped out all your IVs, and that's why there was all that blood in there. But Ivy called me saying you weren't in the ICU, and she was freaking out. She was hysterical, which, to be fair, totally valid. I don't blame her for acting that way. But she called me because she wanted my help, because she did not know what to do. She kept saying to me, Nana, I don't know what to do. Nana, I don't know what to do. Freaking out. She was hysterical. She wasn't calming down. So I told her, okay, Ivy, take a breath. Let's calm down. Because she needed me to she told me she didn't know what to do, so I was telling her what to do. So I told her, Ivy, just take a breath, calm down. I need you to get on radio so that we can go looking for him. And she snapped on me for telling her what to do. She absolutely snapped on me. She did get on radio, and we all started looking, and then Benny, or I think it was Benny, maybe someone else, found you at the Hyman. You were on the block, and that's great. You were found. You weren't in danger. It wasn't as bad as what we thought it was. But so she did snap on me for it when she asked me for her help. But whatever, again, I understand she is like that. She gets super stressed and she snaps on people. So when you were sat outside the Prospect House, she checked on you, and then she came over to me to talk, and we had a long talk. And so while we were talking, first she asked me for my honest. She was like, I want your opinion. I want your honest opinion. So I was like, or she said, I want your opinion. So I said, you want my honest opinion? And she's like, yes. I was like, okay. So she wanted my opinion on how she reacted to the Flop situation. And so I told her, I don't think, I understand where she was coming from. I don't think she needed to snap on him the way she did, because there was context to the situation. She felt that Flop was barking at Dean. I felt like Flop was simply just being stern and doing what I told him to do. But, I understand her perspective. There were patches there, so he didn't need to do that. And he's only a hang-around, and Flop...
She's
and,
also
and Dean,
she's a doctor, right, as well.
yeah.
There's that context.
but in that instance, it wasn't. It was simply just. It was just getting Dean to stay still. That's all Flop was trying to do for us, right?
Yeah.
So I told her, you know, like I understand where you're coming from. I get why you did it, but I also don't agree with it because she wanted my opinion. So I said that I don't think that Flop did anything wrong. He did what I asked him to do. And so I personally don't believe he did anything wrong because I don't feel like he was barking his orders at a patch member the way that Ivy perceived it. I viewed it as he was doing what I told him to do, and he could see that I was unable to get Dean to stay still, so he was trying to help me with that. That's how I took it. So I personally don't feel like Flop was out of line.
Right.
She did. That's okay. And she said to me, you know, okay, we agree to disagree, and I'm fine with that. We don't always have to agree and see eye to eye, and whatever. And then so we end up on a bit of a deeper talk. And she was talking about, you know, how her attitude, how she can have attitude with people sometimes, and she was acknowledging that she can get really nasty and have a bad attitude sometimes when it's not needed. And so I pointed out the whole context part of it. You know, sometimes there's context to things that you don't always know. And that's why I don't like when it comes to stuff like I am quick to snap and give people attitude, but I don't do that with people within the club. I don't think I've ever gotten lippy with anyone inside the club except for Benny, and that's because Benny's an idiot and I do it with love. But so I said to her, you know, like that's one thing I always do is I always try and think of the context. In the situation with Alice, I wouldn't let a hang around talk to a patch like that. If I think that there's proper context to it, then that's different. In those two situations, there was context there. I mean, I don't know fully about the Alice one, but I felt like there was context there, so that's why I didn't act on it or anything because I felt there was probably some context there that I didn't know, and and so she agreed. You know, maybe that's something I do have to do. I have to think about the context or whatever. And then she, you know, she apologized for snapping on me when she called me freaking out about you, and I told her, you know, that's okay, Ivy. And so I simply just said to her, you know, because she said I don't do well when people are telling me what to do or whatever, right? So I simply just tried to explain to her, you know, again, give her more context and try and, you know, just talk out the situation with our words. And I said to her, you know, I wasn't trying to tell you what to do, but you called me freaking out and you said to me you didn't know what to do, so I was trying to help you. I was trying to help you do the steps that you were expressing to me that you didn't know what to do right now. So I was trying to help you do those little steps so that we could do something about it because you said you didn't know what to do. And she instantly, it was like I felt like there was headway being made, and then instantly just retreats back, attitudes back up again, and she's getting snappy at me because she doesn't like what I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry. If you ask me for my honest opinion, I'm gonna give it to you. If you don't like it, then why the fuck would you even bother asking me for it? That shit to me pisses me off. Don't ask me for my opinion. You don't have to like my opinion. That's fine. Because there's people who give me their opinions and I don't like it either, and that's fine. You can agree to disagree like we originally did in the conversation. That is okay. But for you to ask me to be honest with you and talk to you about these things, and for us to try and have a conversation about it to solve any issues, and for you to just get mad at me again, basically nullifying any headway that I felt like we were making, it's all just gone now. It's just like, what the fuck is the point in that? Like, what the fuck? So for me personally, it makes me just not want to, like, again, just not try and talk things out with her if I do feel like
Yeah.
there's something to talk about, because like what the fuck's the point? Because it's not going to change anything. It's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
And it's just like
I can.
it bothers me.
I can
you know?
understand that. Yeah. I think.
Like I try to be very understanding,
No,
but
you
there's
have.
only so
No.
much I can do.
This is more than not that I was expecting, but it's more than what most people do. You know, normally there's like one little blow up, and you know they sit and don't talk to each other for weeks. But you haven't done
No,
that.
exactly. Like I'm the type of person that if I don't like, even though yeah, could I have maybe tried to talk to Ivy sooner about the attitude thing? Yeah, maybe, sure. But did I didn't feel like that would change anything because it's a in the moment thing, and she's aware of it. She's made plenty of times where she said she has an attitude problem. She's admitted it herself, so she knows she has the problem. I can't fix that for her. She needs to do the work herself. So in the small instances when she gets snappy on a job or this, like, yeah, does it piss me off that I'm getting snapped on for absolutely no fucking reason when I do not deserve it? Yes.
I heard about that she snapped
yeah,
at you because
yeah,
you
but
asked for a landmark.
yeah, and that's not the first time that she's done it during a job, but I always try and keep in mind that I know Ivy well enough at this point that I know that when there's high stress, whether it be a job or some sort of situation going on, when she's under stress, she gets very snappy. So I
Yeah.
try to, even though I don't like it and I don't appreciate it, I try to take it with a grain of salt. Hence why I don't go and talk to people about it, because it's, yes, it's an issue, but I don't feel like, again, it's, I know that it's an issue she's aware of. So what is me going and telling somebody about it going to change? She already knows that she does this. People are already aware that she does this. She needs to do the work herself.
Yeah.
But when she wanted to have a talk about other things and get my
That's
honest
a
opinion on
yes.
stuff,
That's more
yeah,
of the
and
problem. Yeah.
those are conversations that I love having with people. If I think there's an issue, I will gladly, like way back in the day, right? Back when Remedy was still with the club, and that I remember there was, I don't remember exactly what it was that happened, but something happened,
Okay,
and
we're boiling it down.
I felt like maybe she was upset at me. I pulled her
We're
aside
boiling
so
it
we could
down.
talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I do that with people. If I think that there might be an issue, I will pull people aside and try and have a talk with them about it, because maybe, because I know for me personally, I can be really bad with how I word things sometimes. So I may accidentally upset somebody because I'm not the best with my words sometimes, especially if I'm a little bit overwhelmed. And that I don't always, you know, express myself in the best manner or the best way, or I word myself wrong. And so sometimes I might upset somebody. So I will gladly sit down and have a conversation with somebody to try and sort it out, to either explain or to give context so that maybe they understand where I'm coming from and it resolves it that way or whatever. Or if somebody upsets me, then I'd like to try and have a conversation with them to let them know, you know, this bothers me. Like I did it with Max a little while ago, because it was during the Maze Bank, he forgot he forgot baby Shang there. And he was joking around saying that I left it there. I don't mind a little joke here or there, but when he kept going on it over and over and over again, that I did start, like, it isn't a big deal, but I did start getting agitated with it. And so I simply went and had a conversation with him after, like a day or two later, when I finally had the chance to, and I told him, you know, I don't mind making jokes and joking around. I don't mind that kind of stuff. It doesn't bother me. But when I ask you to stop and you don't, then I have an issue, because I will only put up with that so much before I finally snap on you. And I don't like snapping on the people that I care about, or people within the club or whatever. I don't like snapping on them for small reasons, but I'm also only human. My fuse is only so long some days, you know? So I had that conversation with him. He's like, "Okay, Nana, I'm sorry, and I get it." Cuz I did it, cuz you know, it was a conversation. He upset me, and I tried to tell him in the moment, you know, "Okay, you've joked around enough now. Stop." And he didn't stop. So I had a conversation with him because he did something that irritated me, and it resolved it. So I'm the type of person who likes having those kind of talks. But when it goes nowhere and the issue just feels like nothing happened, and it just feels like it's worse than what it was before, now it's just like, at this point, the way I feel about it is I'm just not going to bother talking to her about any issues anymore. I'll just keep my mouth shut, and if it feels like it's really that big of an issue, then I'll go to Shang or somebody else about it. But I'm
Okay.
not going to try working it out with her anymore, because what's the point? We tried that, and she just ended up, it felt like it was going somewhere, and she ended up, you know, when she felt like she didn't like, when it didn't feel like the conversation was going her way, and that I didn't say, "No, Ivy, it's perfectly fine that you did that, it's okay, I forgive you." When I didn't do exactly that, and she seemed to get mad, because that's how it felt, is that because I didn't say what she wanted to hear, she got mad about it, basically. Well, I'm not going to bother with that kind of conversation anymore with her, because it goes nowhere to me.
Okay. Um. Okay. So what I'll suggest, because yeah, all your points are completely valid. And I think the stuff with jobs, um, I mean, I don't think getting snappy on a job is any sort of issue, because I'm probably the worst for it. I think I probably snap at people worse than Ivy does.
No,
Now,
I've personally never seen you do it, or if you
oh,
have, I've never felt like it was
I've this,
completely unnecessary.
no, but no, I
I'm just
definitely,
saying from my
yes,
perspective, I
yes,
haven't noticed it. Or if I have you seen you snap, it's never been something that I was like, "Oh geez, Sean, that was a little bit excessive. That was unneeded," you know?
yeah.
I've definitely heard you get stern, but for me, I haven't heard you get snappy.
No, I've definitely done it. So I mean, I think it can still be checked and adjusted a little bit. Now, look, I don't think I'm not how do I word this? I'm not trying to devalue what you're saying. Um, Is this the only time that it's happened? So like the time you talked to her on the porch, because I remember seeing it.
That was the
That was the only
only
time you talked to her.
um
Like the only time like you talked to her, it seemed like it was progressing, and then she snapped.
yeah, because that's
okay,
the first time we actually sat down and had a talk, and she asked me
okay,
for my honest opinion versus her just quickly saying, "Sorry, I got snappy. I was a little bit overwhelmed." Like other than that
okay.
little things, that was the first time we've ever had a real conversation because I don't feel comfortable. Like already before that, I never felt like I would be comfortable talking to Ivy about stuff like that because of how
How?
quickly her
Yeah,
attitude changes. I just don't. I
yeah.
I feel like
No,
it
I
just
agree.
wouldn't end well, you know?
Yeah. And until you see it, until you identify that, like, because somebody could be snappy in situations, but then be very constructive in a normal talk, right? And then until you see that, you can't trust it, right? Because like
Hmm.
there's times where, like, even with me, right? You know, um, if I snap at somebody that I can talk to them afterwards, right, in a completely different tone. Um,
Hmm.
so I don't want this to blow up into something insane. And I want to get the club out of habits like um bringing up issues that track back maybe 4 or 5 months, right? Unless they're like quite severe, right? Um,
Hmm. See, when the thing happened with me and Ivy, like that little conversation, I was gonna talk to somebody about it, either Shang or Edbert. I was
yeah,
planning on trying to get in touch with one of them because you were still healing, so I didn't want to come and bother you with stuff because you were unwell. So I was like, okay, I'll try and talk with Edbert or Shang, and it's either our schedule didn't align, or there was shit going on, or then the holidays.
yeah.
So I just never got the chance to
No, that's
have
fine.
that conversation with somebody.
Yeah, the holidays, you can put a pin in it, and it is also our fault, kind of our fault. Because I've identified now like a real issue with the club is it is only, in reality it's me and Shang and maybe Finn. I think you see Ed more than I do. Um,
Probably.
but there's a bad stigma that it's like don't bother high command too much, or the dread of having to go to high command, right?
Hmm.
um which is not countered well by the fact that it is literally only high command and Finn, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully in the new year that's going to change, so that won't be as big of an issue.
Like
W-
more
More
command as
command,
well
yes,
versus just high command?
yes, that's what I want,
Okay.
that's what I want to do.
Hmm.
Now, um what I will ask of you, and I'm going to talk to Ivy, um is that don't draw a full opinion off of one time. Hold on to it, right? And definitely have it, add to your view of somebody, but please don't write off a club member just because of one.
I don't have it written off. I
Well,
will,
you said
you know,
that
I
you
just
don't want to do it again.
I just don't want to have that kind of conversation with her again because I don't feel like it'll be constructive. I feel like it just isn't gonna go anywhere. But I don't have it written off.
Well, okay,
Like,
sorry. Well, that's what I meant. I meant that type of conversation written off. I need you to, and I need everybody. This is for anybody. This is like person. Don't even say it for you and Ivy, right? For person one and person two. I need
Mhm.
I need the effort to be made a couple times that a pattern can
See,
be drawn up.
my worry with it would be, and why I'm putting the where I'm saying that I don't want to have that kind of conversation with her again is because of the fact that I feel like she's had such an attitude with me for whatever reason for a while. Because like, yes, she gives attitude on jobs and I'm not the only person who gets it, but I definitely feel like just in general there are some days where she's so freaking nice to me, and then some days where I feel like she just hates my guts or just does not like me, and I'm getting some like weird vibe and attitude off her for no reason. Like, I can't give you like an exact example because it's just a vibe and
Hmm.
just a tone of voice that she
No, I
uses
know what
just
you mean. I know what you
randomly,
mean. I know what you
yeah.
mean.
And so it's like it's that stuff like all of that added together just kind of boils up. And then after that conversation, that if I was to have another conversation, because I already have a hard time biting my tongue with Ivy when it happens nowadays, because it's been so long and nothing's changed with it, even though she acknowledges that's a problem and there's been no change in her, in my opinion. That it My worry would be, and why I and for me, I feel like I'm making the mature decision by saying I don't want to have I don't want to have a conversation with like that with her again, because if yes, there is the chance that it could go well potentially, but on the off chance that it doesn't go well, I'm gonna fucking snap on her. And I'm not
That's
saying I'm
fine.
gonna do something crazy
No,
like
I
shoot
know.
her or do like, but I'm gonna fucking snap.
That is fine. But
But I don't want to be that person,
I know
because then
now.
I worry that it'll come back on me
It
that I'm the
won't.
bad guy
No, it won't.
somehow.
I can understand, right? But it won't. Okay, it just won't, because what I need to see from everybody is these conversations happening more, these blow-ups happening more in the moment, so that they can be addressed. Right. The worst thing is that the stuff with Ivy or with anybody, a lot of it is brought up over, happening over 3 or 4 months time, right? Where I can't say for certain, which is a problem.
I mean, it's definitely been more than 3 or 4
It's no, it
months. It's been
definitely.
since I was at hang around.
I know. No, I'm just saying, like, I wasn't saying specifically that. I was just
Sorry,
like,
okay,
as an example, right?
Mhm.
Like, these situations dating back.
Yeah.
Because if they're brought up sooner, they can be dealt with sooner, and then we don't have timelines of like 4 or 5 months. We have timelines of like a month, right? Which
Yeah.
is more problematic, because if it happens in a closer space of time, then it can be really emphasized. But when something happens, like instances happen over 6 months, it's difficult to really hold that against somebody. Now, to counter it, someone acknowledging that they have an attitude problem for months and then not changing it, or adjusting it, right? That is
That's
a problem.
in
That is a
itself.
problem, yes, and I will talk to her about it. But I don't want to blood someone out over somebody's attitude
No, and
when
I
it can be
don't want her
adjusted.
to get blooded out.
I
I'd
know.
love to see her. I'm
I
not
know.
saying she has to change overnight because that's unrealistic, but to just see her try and catch herself more
Yes.
often,
Yeah.
and acknowledge
Accountability.
it quicker than
Yeah.
waiting hours or days after the fact of
Yeah.
before she's like, okay, I'm sorry, but like, just like try and catch yourself in the moment, try and work on it. That's
But
all I want from her.
and why I want to give everybody a pinch of salt with everything that's happened literally this year, right? It literally, like, let's say the past 6 months. That I want everyone to just kind of sit with it and think about it, is because going into the new year, I don't want it to be like that, because I and everybody in high command or whoever has set a bad precedent that is the way that things are done. I'm probably the better for of kind of dealing with problems when I hear about it, but more often than not, sometimes I think it might be better if I was just a command member and not the VP, because I probably could deal with this stuff a lot more. But there is definitely, people don't want to come to me with everything because they shouldn't. But there is nobody for people to go to. Like, in reality, you have nobody really that you can bring this up to on a smaller scale. And having to do it, which is a problem, because I don't think something like this should lead to getting like super severe yet, right? But the fact that it comes to us straight away is a problem, because then we're dealing with everything inside the club on top of it, we're dealing with everything outside the club on top of it, and I don't want us to make a bad decision. So I'm not asking you to wipe the site clean or anything like that, but I need you to keep trying. I need you, if you see these problems, until like command has been put in place and these people that you can rely on, I need you to keep doing it. I need everybody
Something
to.
I feel like I feel a bit more comfortable coming to people now or talking to somebody about it now than what I did before. Because before I was either just a hang around or just a prospect, and it's like I didn't feel like cemented within the club where, even if I'm not doing anything wrong and it is somebody else, you know I just felt like, okay, somehow this is going to come back on me, because
It
in my
won't.
past, you know
I know.
I've definitely had it in the past where it's always come back and bit me in the ass somehow when I've done nothing wrong, and so that was definitely a worry of mine. And then when I became patched, it was like, okay, well, I'm still a little bit worried because I'm only freshly patched, so I don't want it to seem like all of a sudden I got all this fucking gusto under my wings. Like, I want to let myself kind of settle into this new place within the club, but I definitely feel like I've kind of hit, like, I feel like I'm hitting that place within the club now where I feel more on my feet and more steady, that I feel more comfortable. Like, if
Yeah.
I need to like go and talk to somebody or bring it up to somebody about it, I definitely do feel more comfortable about doing that now, because I do feel like more so like more concrete within the club now.
Mm-hmm.
Like kind of feel like I'm falling into my place
Good.
within the club, whatever that may be, kind of thing.
And then that is just down on us to give you those people you can talk to that are not, high command,
Mhm.
which I hope we can do. But like I said, going forward into this new year, the smaller things need to be called out. They need to be highlighted. They need to be addressed quickly, and those conversations still need to happen. Because the more we're kept in the loop, day to day,
Mhm.
the more that it won't blow back on you, right? Because I can understand your hesitancy with the worry of it, like, blowing back on you, because it definitely could. The risk is definitely there, because it's happened over such a longer period of time that things can get twisted, facts might not always be straight or remembered correctly, and so
Yeah.
there is that worry. So I completely, I can what's the word, I don't want to say sympathize, but I get what you're saying with that,
You
right?
can understand.
Yeah, I understand that. But this is what I need going forward from everybody. I'm going to talk to Ivy. Um, I'm never going to tell somebody to get rid of their attitude, because I think the fact that everybody has an attitude is good,
It just needs
but
to
I need it
be
adjusted.
watched more.
Yes, she
Exactly.
just
Yeah.
needs to. And if she snaps at like if she snaps at someone the same way, um, they're not in the context of yours, like the talk that should not happen. That will be addressed. But if she just snaps at somebody like the flop thing or anything like that, right? Which technically, when you look at it from close perspective and the context she had, she was in her right to do so.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't think like
Yeah,
did I fully agree with it? Maybe not, but I didn't think that she was necessarily wrong for it. Like I understand why she didn't. I never told her like you were no, you were wrong for it. I understand why she did it. I just said like from
yeah,
my perspective, because that's what she asked for, my honest opinion. And I said, if it
yeah,
was me in your shoes for that position, then I probably wouldn't have reacted that way. If I knew the context of it, then I don't think I would have reacted that way because of the context there. But like I don't necessarily think that what she did was wrong. No, I definitely, and I told her that I don't think that
yeah,
what she did was wrong. It's just we had differing opinions of how we would have reacted in that situation, and that's okay because that's what makes us individuals. If we all fucking reacted the same way and thought the same way and that, like, what the fuck's the point in being a human being at that point? Because we're all just carbon copies of each other then.
yeah.
Like, there's no point in that.
So what I need really going forward. So if that happened again, right? Um, so from the point of her snapping at you during that conversation, what I would need is that conversation to be, and if it comes, it should realistically she should be aware and of what she did and come to talk to you again. But if not, then I need you, if you still see a problem, you need to try and have that conversation again, right? And highlight those problems, or like when you leave that conversation, you're like, okay, you wanted my honest opinion, you're now getting snappy at me for it, we'll put a pin in
And
this.
getting mad because you
Yeah,
didn't like it.
well, yeah, but we'll say, you put a pin in the conversation, it's like, all right, we'll come back with this when we've calmed down. And then you go again for a second or a third time and the same things happen. Now we've got a bad pattern, and that is something that can be easily more addressed, right? But
Hmm.
I've always had a problem with addressing things off a one-time instance. If something happens once and you write it off and you don't want to have that kind of conversation again, it could just be it could be a once-off, right? It could be something could be going on in her head. There could be something that happened that day with somebody else. She could be under a lot of stress. You don't know, right? And then we don't know. I don't know at that point, and I need to take that into account. Off a one-time instance, which it's very difficult. But if it happens over 2, 3, 4 times, there's a pattern, right? There can't be an excuse for 2 or 3 times. There can be an excuse for one, and then that leaves you unhappy, or leaves the other party unhappy that they're kind of getting away with it, or and then they don't talk to one another, and then it builds resentment, and it gets worse as it goes down the line. But if there's a constant effort to make a conversation with this person and get it resolved over a short period of time, it's easier to draw a pattern, and it's easier to highlight and address more abruptly. Does that make sense? It's not going to be comfortable. It's not going to be good. These conversations aren't nice, especially when they go bad. But we're all adults. We're all fucking club members. We need to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I need of everybody. That is going to be an expectation going forward. Can you do that?
I'm definitely willing to try and do that.
Thank you.
And if I feel like it's going the same way it did the first time, I will do my best to just walk away from it and be like,
Yeah.
we can,
Walk
you know,
away
come
from it.
back to this.
Highlight it. If it needs intervention, then we bring in intervention. We have a chaplain. We have people that can mediate it if it needs to be mediated to try it. But I will not.
I'll definitely try my best to try and do that versus just snap on her.
I mean, if you snap, you snap. If you snap and walk away and have to, and that's fine. Then you don't, like, if you beat the fuck out of each other or whatever, as long as you don't fucking kill one another.
I would never.
I know.
Unless someone really truly pushed me that far, I would. Other than like, you know, jokingly like how I do with Benny beating the shit out of him, I would never lay my hands on a club member out of anger. I don't believe in doing that. With,
like, yeah. I'm saying anybody. If they need to punch it out, then they need to punch it out. If they need whatever, you know, as long as they don't fucking break out weapons like knuckle dusters or stuff like that, I really don't care. But if it's vindictive, like if it's just a fight to get anger out and then you guys square away, like if a fight breaks out between two people over a situation, right, and they start hitting each other and punch each other, I would expect, this would be my pure, like, honest expectation and what I would hold to, the second that fight ends, that's the situation done. Like, that cannot be brought up again. You guys have decided to fucking fight about it. That's it. You shake hands, you're done afterwards. You fucking move on for the betterment of you two and the club. If that was something to happen between two people, nothing saying it would happen to you, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Me
I know you
personally,
wouldn't.
I didn't. And if somebody did punch me in my face, well, I'd probably just shut up and then walk away as soon as they were done. I wouldn't even punch. That's what I did when Edbert got upset at me. No, mind you, I was just a hanger and a prospect at the time, so like obviously I'm not gonna lay my hands on high command. But like, it's the same type of thing when Edbert got upset at me for with this shit that happened with Chastity and the raid and everything. He punched me in my face, and I let him do it until he was done, and then I just walked away.
Yeah. Well, that is a different situation, but yes, I get.
Yeah, but like
I
would do the same.
I
would react in the exact same way. No matter what the context as to why it happened, if someone within the club did that, I would react the exact same way.
Okay. Well, you can do that for me, because that is going to be the expectation going forward. And I will keep you guys posted on what happens with command in the new year.
Can I ask a question about the command stuff?
Yeah. What's up?
What are command positions?
What are command positions?
Yeah, like what exactly are they? I know there's chaplain. I know.
So I don't think we actually ever.
Other things in that.
I don't know if we actually ever announced that at the meeting. I'll do it at the next meeting. But command and roles are separate. So if you want to go for a role, you can go for a role, and not be command. It'll give you specific power in situations that the role
Well, then what
is
are the
specified.
roles?
Roles are sergeant at arms, road captain, chaplain, enforcer, tail gunner, secretary, and treasurer.
I know what the chaplain and an enforcer and a secretary and a treasurer is, but what and sergeant at arms, they basically man our
basically a war
armory,
general,
right?
Yeah. Well, and a quartermaster.
What's the other one? What's a quartermaster? What is it? Tail gunner, and then what was the other one?
I'll go quick through them quick. So tail gunner is what Finn is. Finn takes care of the hangarounds. He makes sure that nobody is left behind. Quartermaster.
He does a really good job at his job.
He does. Yeah, never in question. A quartermaster is someone who inventories, make sure that people have everything. Basically, what Tally is doing right now. Armory stocked. Oxy. Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Secretary is what Rue does. Rue takes notes at meetings, sets up meetings, makes sure that they happen, week to week or whatever, whenever they are. And basically that. Treasurer manages the money. That's kind of Ed at the minute. Or our high command is kind of just managing that. SAA is kind of a war general, or depending on how the
Mm-hmm.
person wants to do it, but managers, it's kind of you default back to that person if they're on a 6 or anything like that, and just basically to lead in those specific situations, right?
Yeah.
Road captain. Now, road captain is more than likely going to stay command. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have road captain, you're going to be a command member. But that is essentially you lead the day to day of the club. You make sure jobs are done. You make sure that the club is pointing in the right direction and following what high command, the VP and the PM want.
Mm-hmm.
Basically a mini high command member. It's always been
Making sure
kind
we're
of,
staying on track to goals and everything,
yeah,
basically.
managing everything. Kind of oversees
Mm-hmm.
everybody else. It's like the command plus, almost.
Okay.
It is also a stepping stone, you know, kind of. Everybody who currently is in a high command position was a road captain at some point.
Okay.
That's
I
what
mean, that
Barry.
makes sense if that's what they do. That definitely makes sense that they would eventually
It
make
gives
up to that.
you an idea of what kind of is expected
Mm-hmm.
from a road captain, right? Because Barry is a road
Yeah.
captain, Ed was, I was, Shang was. That's kind of the expectation of what a road captain is basically a mini one of us.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no specified one thing that a road captain should be. It's because you look at Barry, Ed, Shang, and myself, we're all very, very different people. All
Mm-hmm.
very, very different leading styles and how we do things, but we're all road captain, and we're all, you know, Ed and Shang are high command, I'm the VP, and Barry is the leader of the club. Why would you be interested in something?
Um. I
Because
mean, I
command
don't
is separate.
know.
Command
Yeah. Yeah.
command
Mm-hmm.
is people management. Command
Yeah.
is dealing with
Yeah.
all the
That I
little
don't
shit
know if
that
I'd
we've
ever
talked
be
about.
able to do. Command. I feel like I have too much like, not that I don't necessarily have the skills or couldn't get myself up to that type of skill set or whatever. I just think I'm way too ACDC for that kind of shit. My brain's too
Yeah.
small
No, I
to
mean,
have that kind of responsibility. But
yeah, but you
a
can.
roller position kind of thing, like.
Mhm.
But the thing is that I hearing what all of them are, there's only really two that I feel like I would that I guess I think I would fit well, but I don't know if they're like is it I wouldn't want to take a position from somebody, especially somebody I think who does their job well, but like so I don't know if
Well,
there's ever more than
here's the
one or
thing though.
whatever.
Here's the thing though. No?
Mhm.
If you want something, you go for it, regardless if that other person is doing it. If you think they're doing it well, then that's good. But if you think you can do it better, then that's what matters.
Yeah.
If you think that person one is doing a good job,
Mhm.
but you think you can do it better or your style is better for it, then you go for it and you can test it. You make that known to high command that that's what you're going to do and that's why you want it, and highlight why you want it, and then
Mhm.
show us. Because using your words is completely pointless in those situations. You highlight
Yeah, words only get you so far. You have
what
to
I
use
would
action.
suggest if you ever did do this, if you ever did go for a role that someone else has,
Mhm.
you are much better off doing all of it and then highlighting what you've done that's been better,
Yeah.
compared to this is saying like, oh, I want this because I know I can do this better, but you haven't shown us, right?
Mhm.
Personally, I think that's a better way of going about it, but you can go about it either way.
Yeah.
What are the
Well,
two roles that you're thinking about?
Uh, well, the only two that I feel like I could do a good job at, not the, and I don't know if I don't think I'd be able to do a better job, but the only two that I feel like I feel like I would have the capability to suit well for, would either be chaplain, just because, from my understanding of what a chaplain is they take care of the well-being of the group and of the club, and kind of help take care of them on a more of a at least this is my understanding of it, but on that more mental. They have some that the club has somebody they can go to if they need to talk to people about something. And I've always been someone who, when it comes to people I care about, I've always been someone who wants to help them, whether it's just simply be an ear to listen to or help them try and work through it kind of thing or whatever. But again, that's just my understanding of what the chaplain does. He could do even more stuff that I don't really know myself or whatever or fully understand, but I feel like that's something I could do because of how much I care about people And the other one that I feel like I could potentially do would maybe be enforcer, only because, you know, I'm not the type of person. I wouldn't want to do physical punishment because, again, you know, I don't like hitting the people with like that I care about in that way. Like if I'm fucking around with you, sure, I'll give you a punch in the mouth, but I don't like hitting someone when they've done something wrong because I don't think physical violence is actually going to solve anything. But like I'm not shy, if as long as I know that it's okay for me to do it, you know, like yes, okay, I don't really speak up right now because, you know, I'm a little too scared to or whatever, but if I knew that I could do it freely and not get in trouble for talking up to somebody, I'm not fucking shy to call somebody out on bullshit and tell them they're doing something fucking wrong. And you know, like that's just because that's the type of attitude that I have. I'm not somebody who's too shy to do something like that, but I also don't know exactly what it is other than, you know, dealing out punishments and that kind of thing. I don't fully know what the enforcer role is, so maybe I wouldn't be fitted if I know exactly what it is. But just in my understanding of, you know, like it's kind of like a, you know, you check people sometimes in a certain sense. Like that I know that I have no shyness of doing. I will fucking put somebody in their fucking place if I need to. I'm sure you've fucking seen me do it before with people outside the club.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so shy to do that kind of thing unless, you know, I don't know if I can or not. So yes, right now maybe I am a little bit too shy to do it. But if I knew it was okay, I would be do that no problem whatsoever. So like those are the only two. Like I would perfectly be happy just being a patch and not having any form of role. But I remember I had a conversation with Benny before I got patched, asking him because I'd asked Edbert, I had asked Shang, what else is it that I need to do to show that I'm ready to be patched? Because at that point, I didn't feel like anyone was telling me, oh, Nana, you need to work specifically on this or you need to work specifically on that. Like, I feel like people were happy at where my skills were and understood certain skills were just where they were at and they weren't, like, necessarily going to go crazy more. You know, like, yes, you can refine things in that, but certain skills, I'm never going to be a crack driver. I can refine certain things about it, but, you know, so I felt like no one was really pushing me to improve on anything else at that point, but I still wasn't patched. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
I had asked them, like, what else can I do to that I need to do? And they never gave me an answer. They said, you know, just keep doing what you're doing. And it's like, well, that doesn't fucking help me. And so when I asked Benny about it, Benny's advice was, is there a role that you would want? If there is, start doing things that would strive towards doing that, because that could help, that maybe that's, you know, will give you something to work towards or work on or whatever. And so it got me thinking a little bit about it, like if I was to ever take on a role within the club, where do I think I would fit best? And those would be the two that I feel like I could do that well, kind of thing. Not necessarily that I need them, but they are two things that I feel like I could potentially do well. Better than who's currently doing them? I don't know about that because I think Core is a really good enforcer and I think Ziggy's an amazing chaplain. But, like, doesn't mean that I can't be just as good as them, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, what I'll do, with enforcer, I would warn you first,
Mm-hmm.
that, um, you know, if you can show us what, um, I think punishment wise, if you can show us what would be effective outside of physical punishment, sometimes it is going to be necessary. Sometimes you may be told, like as an enforcer, you may be told this is what you have to do. I want you to go beat the fuck
Yeah.
out of somebody. If I tell you to go beat the fuck out of somebody, you're gonna go do it. I know you may not agree with it. There will be times where we'll leave the punishment up to you, but there will be times where you'll be told to do something.
Mm-hmm.
The other expectation, uh, Nana, is if you were an enforcer, there is the expectation for you to blood somebody out.
If that was the case, that me personally, if someone needs to be blooded out of the club, I doubt that I would have any hesitations. If the
Dark.
club consensus is for whatever reason that somebody needs to leave the club, then you're already as good as dead to me, so I wouldn't hesitate to put a bullet in somebody's head.
Okay.
I am very easily able to turn that switch off. Hell, when my pops left Rust, I instantly turned that switch off with him. Especially then when I saw him with the people that fucking shot me in my head and almost killed me. I lost my eye because of it, and I saw him protecting them. I went and skinned him. He got a tattoo on his lower back in honor of me. I went and cut that off his back and left him on their doorstep. I am very
Enforcer
quickly
would be
able
cool.
to, if need be, to turn that
I think
switch
Nana
off.
Enforcer
When
good. I
it
always
comes to
said that.
caring
I
about
think
people.
like
When it comes to the
Nana
betterment of the
is like
club,
sweet and lovely.
it
but,
might
like,
be
she
one of
can
my
be
best
dark.
and worst qualities. It's
I think
something
she'd be
that
great.
my pops kept pointing out to me
I don't
with,
think she'd be.
with
I don't think she could
Rust,
do
where
command
that
though.
I was very blindly faithful to the group when I even shouldn't have been. That I should have no longer been giving my loyalty to Rust because of how I was treated within the gang. But I still did it anyways. So if someone was needed to be blooded out of this club, you are as good as dead to me, because what matters to me is this club, and if somebody is no longer fit for this club for whatever fucking reasons, then you're dead to me. I don't even like, mind you, I was never even close with Faye or whatever, but I don't even think about her. I don't know if she lived her blood out or not, but when I got told that she got blooded out, I was like, okay, she's dead. And I just shut that off, and I haven't thought about her unless somebody else brings her up. I'm able to very easily turn that switch off to somebody if it meant that that was what was most important for this club. It maybe sometimes be my downfall how blindly loyal I can be, but it is also one of my greatest assets as well.
Okay.
The needing to just simply beat someone down because they did something wrong, yes, that I might have reservations towards and maybe not want to do. So that might be something I would have to struggle with, and maybe I would have to work on that part for me. But blooding somebody out, that I wouldn't even question about it. That I would have no issues doing. Because at that point, if they're leaving the club, they're already dead to the club. I don't care what happens to them.
Okay. Good. If it's something you want, enforcers, I'm looking for another one. So keep that in mind. There can be more than one enforcer. So.
What kind of, in regards to an enforcer? Because like you said, you know, kind of doing things for that role, or, you know, showing that I can do it. Yes, I'm a patch and I can, you know, tell, you know, I can talk to prospects and hang around a certain way, or do, you know, act with them a certain way. But I also, you know, with other patches, I don't want to just, you know, overstep any line. So for that kind of role specifically, how would I work towards showing that I believe that that is something that I could do? Like, what would you advise for me to do?
It is a little bit. You gotta be careful with doing it with patches. Show it on prospects. Right. Show that you have that switch. Because I know you like flop, and you know and the other prospects, but show that switch that you can turn it off and you can be you know what is needed of an enforcer. And what I also suggest is reach out to Cora. Talk to Cora. She's been doing it for a bit.
Because I don't because like you said, people can do roles certain ways. So like, yes, a certain aspects of an enforcer role, I'd 100% have to, you know, do it a certain way. But I could. It's definitely okay if I like get advice from Cora on how she does it, and see where, you know, I kind of fit within that, and then see if where I might do something differently if that would work within that position.
Hold people accountable to the rules of the club and to the standards of the club, especially the prospects. Loadout check them. Punish them when needed. Keep them in check. Keep them pointing in the right direction. Keep the fucking fear of God in them. When you turn that switch off.
There's one prospect in particular I know I feel like definitely needs to be put in their place often.
Max?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that because Shang is his jacket, I feel like he feels like he can joke around with him certain ways. And to a certain degree, like, I don't think it's necessarily wrong, but I also feel like he needs to learn to tone it down sometimes and to show a bit more respect than I feel he does. And then, like, for example, I don't remember exactly, like, and again, because this happened the other week and there was other shit going on, so I can't remember exactly what happened. I know I did snap on him for it, and I did put him in his place, and he kind of just shut up and walked away at that point. So if he was pissed off at me, I don't give two fucking shits. But so I don't remember exactly what caused it, but oh, I think he maybe he punched Benny. I don't remember. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he was giving attitude that wasn't just fucking around and joking about kind of thing. Like I felt like he was being, being a bit too oversteppy. And so I told him, like I punched him in his face, and I did tell him, cut it the fuck out or whatever. And then he kind of gave a little bit lip back, and I said like I mentioned, like he's a patch or something like that, or whatever. Or maybe said I said that I was like a patch is telling you to cut something out, that means fucking cut it out. And he did say something back along the line, and again, don't fully get mad at him for it, because I don't remember the full context of it. And this, again, maybe I should have said something sooner, but so much stuff was happening at the time. But his comment back to me about it was the patch doesn't always have to be everything, or something like that. Something stupid. And I literally looked at him and I said, Max, shut the fuck up, because the patch is literally everything. And he did shut up when I told him to, because the comment was just so, like, I can, because the fact that I am very understanding, like, I understand what he was trying to get at, but no, you don't fucking say that fucking shit. And especially not to a patched member. Like, especially not. And I feel like now, because, like, I feel, like I said earlier, I am feeling more confident in my role in patch now, that I definitely will feel more comfortable doing it, because I definitely had some anxieties with becoming a patch, and then all of a sudden, telling prospects or hangarounds what to do when I just became a patch, even though that's literally what I can do. I didn't want that to change how people just viewed me as a person, because I definitely felt like let's say, for example, Blue never did anything wrong, right? But I did feel like when she went from prospect to patched, I felt like our friendship did change a little bit. And like, I do understand that to a certain degree, but it also did make me sad, because me and Blue came in this together, and she was one of my really good friends. Then all of a sudden, like, I felt like I couldn't have my same friendship with her anymore, because now she's patched and I'm still only a prospect. And like, so I don't want people to feel that way negatively. I want people to learn that they have to give me, I want people to start giving me more respect, because I now have a patch, but I don't want it to negatively impact how, like, a friendship or how they feel about me on that type of level. So that was definitely something I was scared about first becoming patch. But again, like, I do feel like I'm kind of in my place with being a patch now, and it's been long enough now that I feel more comfortable doing it, and it won't just, I feel like I won't give off that energy of, oh, now I'm a patch and now all of a sudden I'm so cocky and gung-ho about things, because that was definitely something I was a little bit worried about. Because I want people, give me the fucking respect now that I have a patch. And if you're only a prospect or whatever, and if something's going on, yes, give me the fucking respect you're supposed to give me. But I don't want that to mean that suddenly we can't be friends anymore if we were friends beforehand,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have a talk with Cora, and I'll definitely start doing that with specifically with patches and or prospects and hangarounds. And if I do see something with a patch, I would probably talk to somebody else about it. Or if I feel like it's something maybe I could say something about, I will make sure to do so in a very respectful manner, because of the fact that I'm only a patch as well. But I will definitely try. I'll have a conversation with Cora, and then I will also try, not being so scared to do that if I feel like something needs to be said, laying down that line if it needs to be, if I'm seeing something that I don't think I should be seeing, kind of thing. And I'll do my best to,
Sort of
gain that
highlight it and bring it
confidence
up
to not
close as well.
be, yeah, and bring it up as well.
Okay, good. I look forward to seeing it.
I'll try my best.
I appreciate talking to me about the Ivy stuff as well. I'm going to talk to her, and yeah, you know what I'm expecting going forward, so I'm going to fall off this. I can already tell. No, I'm good.
You got this.
I'll talk to you later.
Have a good night and have a good New Year if I don't see you before the New Year.
You too.
Thank you.
Interesting. Yeah.
Would you like to see the house really quickly before you go to bed?
Sure.
Yeah, come
I think Nana could be very good. I think she's got a good head on her shoulders. So we'll see. It'd be interesting. I think she could be a good enforcer. I've always thought that she would bring a different aspect to it. I think if she got into it more as well, that I think she would get over the. Oh, sorry. Oh,
Someone's
sorry.
trying to break into my house! Wait, do I just hit dismiss? I guess I just hit dismiss. This is my room.
It's nice.
Gave myself a yellow accent wall.
Nice.
And that one's
Bathroom?
a bathroom.
Yeah.
And this is Benny's room. As he says, I'm a very simple
God.
person.
Yeah.
I heard you. Oh, hey.
That's kind of weird. That's kind of weird.
I heard you guys. My bad. Sorry.
It's kind of weird. It's like through like 3 walls through. It's kind of weird. Right.
How do you know where else I've been?
Can I turn the alarm? I don't mind if it notifies me, but can I? Stop! Alarm! Stop! It won't stop. I made the fireplace all by myself.
Nice. Okay. I'm gonna go to bed before those two come out of the walls. Oh, another hair. I'm going to sleep.
Oh.
Oh, for fuck's sake. What,
Hey,
bro?
I'm in my PJs. Sorry. I was gonna put a noise complaint because I was about to watch the fireworks. Not really. They're a couple hours off, but you know. I'd like to file a noise complaint.
Oh, it's Nana's house, so